Feedback for design, concept, and treatment. Please make sure your concept is in a lot of detail. You can't just give me one sentence, it needs to be really specific. And you also need to make sure that the ideas you're talking about are going to be able to be shown in a music video. So make sure that you're showing, not telling. So it's really important that you justify the concept. Why is it a good idea? Why will your target audience like it? And why will it have target audience impact? As far as concept goes, it's also really important that you consider the contingencies within the concept. Is it going to work? It's all very well having an amazing idea, but is it possible? Look for those problems within the concept, identify them, and then come up with solutions. Next up is target audience. Who are your target audience? Why will they like your song? And this obviously links to the song being popular, it links to the song being in fashion, etc. When it comes to tone, this is really important that you identify what the tone is and then describe using technical conventions how the tone will be achieved. So lighting, music, costume. Use tone to describe how your concept will be made into a music video. Setting was generally done quite well. Just be really specific as to exactly what settings you're going to use. And you also must include a picture, please. Actors' costumes, this was also done really well. Don't forget to use pictures. With regards to setting an actor's costume, it's really important that you also consider the contingency. Is it going to be possible? Are there any problems? And how can you address this? Structure really needed some attention. A lot of students weren't sure what structure was. This is the way that your music video is designed. Is it a narrative? Is it a story? Is it a mixture? Is it a montage? You need to clearly identify what your structure is and why it will appeal to your target audience, what the contingency is, and then you need to attempt to address the contingency. Take care not to mix up structure with style. Style is whether you're going to do it in black and white, or you're going to use stop motion, or it's going to be done sped up. That's style. Structure's different. Codes and conventions needed a lot of work. For starters, each code and convention needs a full body paragraph, so a lot of detail. Codes and conventions need to be varied. There needs to be a range of them. So you cannot only discuss camera work. Use camera work as maybe at the most 2 codes and conventions. For the rest, think about codes and conventions of music video. So will the music cut to the beat? What about editing techniques like transitions, fast transitions? What about costuming? What about makeup? What about sound? Consider other codes and conventions beyond just the camera work. And then for each, you need to describe how it makes your music video more effective and how it will appeal to your target audience. So, very important that you are able to show awareness of the codes and conventions of music videos and use these to communicate the information on how you would like to impact the target audience and have effect on them. So really what you want to do is you want to use these codes and conventions to show me or to show the person marking your work how your concept is going to be realized. So I will use lighting to make it dark and moody. I will use costuming to show that the characters are young. I will use lots of close-ups to show the emotion behind the love. But of course this needs to be done in a lot of detail, one whole detailed paragraph per code and convention. Copyright considerations, this also was an area that needed a lot of attention. It's very important that you start off telling me why this is something that we need to focus on. So why do we need to address copyright considerations? So here you could go into detail into intellectual theft and how you don't want to steal somebody else's work or ideas and call it your own. So you need to identify what areas you need to be concerned about with copyright. So for example, labels of clothing, perhaps it's a setting, the song itself, etc. So outline them. Then you need to provide practical solutions on how you're going to go about addressing these copywriting problems. And we spent a lesson on this, looking at the screen rights contract that we buy every year. There are other ways though. So if you want to get excellence, you've really got to think outside the square and consider how you can go about addressing these copywriting problems. So another area that needed some work was your SWOT analysis. This is where you needed to identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats within your concept. So strengths and opportunities were done really well, but weaknesses and threats needed some attention. So the reason why we do this is to make sure that our music video concept has the best possible audience impact and ensures that our music video is really, really good. So really they link to your concept. So here, you needed to identify problems in your actual concept, problems with your song choice, problems that you could face with creating your tone, problems that you could face with your characters, with your setting, with your costume, and most importantly, problems with your codes and conventions and how these codes and conventions are going to be used to make your concept into a reality. So very importantly, these need to be addressed, they need to be listed, they need to be told how they will affect your film, and solutions need to be found. So it's extremely important that you go back over your work and you make the changes that I've highlighted. As to get a merit and excellence, you have to show development through reflection and reworking of ideas following teacher and or peer feedback. Thank you. I hope this has been helpful. So just to quickly recap, please make sure that your concept is detailed, is justified, and that your contingency plan considers target audience, tone, setting, costumes, props, etc. Please make sure that you use a range of codes and conventions of the genre, and that you carefully consider the contingency of each code and convention, and that you use the codes and conventions to very, very carefully allow the marker to see how your concept will be realized. Please make sure that your concept is workable, so it's got to be possible, detailed, and considered to fulfill the brief. Next up, please make sure that you outline any copyright considerations, so why we need to do this and what the solutions are. You need to be able to show awareness of the conventions of music videos and how these are used to communicate essential information to the target audience. So you can't just say, I'm going to use a close-up. You've got to say, I'm going to use a close-up because it allows us to see the character's expression, etc., etc., etc. You also need to be able to identify and write about the practicalities and how these are going to impact your production in the end. So yes, these are like location, transport, weather, equipment costs, etc., but they're also the contingency that relates to your concept. Very important, make sure that you have reflected and reworked your concept, and you need to show evidence of this. So you will need to post on your blog the annotated first draft and the finalized second draft. And of course, practicalities. This is looking at your idea, your setting, your costume, your tone, your codes and conventions, character and structure, looking for problems and writing about how you will address these. Thank you.